This actress's performance was so bad, it was actually suggested that she return her Academy Award for a previous film. Keep watching to find out more. Actors have a tough time making decisions sometimes, especially if they want to have a long and successful career. Their teams usually help to make these decisions, but sometimes there's that one role that totally ruins an actor's career, and today we're going to be talking about some examples of those.
No, God!
Before we dive in and discuss, go ahead and click subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you'll never miss out on our future videos. And give this video a thumbs up if your favorite actor took a nosedive when they chose that one role that ruined everything.
No! In the face!
Let's get to it. Topher Grace established himself as an incredible actor and rose to fame through his numerous seasons as protagonist Eric Foreman on That 70s Show. His comedic timing, awkwardness, and dry humor made him perfect for all kinds of roles on TV.
What are you doing eating?
Well, it's mainly for survival.
Not to mention his transition into film. So, because of his work on That 70s Show, he began appearing in films, also as the leading man, like Win a Date with Ted Hamilton and In Good Company. He also appeared in films like Traffic and P.S., both critically acclaimed films, so he was really doing well for himself. And we definitely thought we'd be seeing a lot more of Topher Grace for many more years to come. Well, along came Spider-Man 3, and he agreed to play Venom in the film. Although he wasn't the absolute worst part of the film, and I mean, it's Spider-Man, so you know it still did really well in box office sales, he just didn't seem right for the role. Fans and viewers absolutely hated his performance in the film, and it just didn't seem like that same awesome leading actor was cut out to make this role work for him. Because it was Topher Grace, they tried to capitalize on that dry humor he was known for, but the whole thing ended up being super cringeworthy. They made him overly comical and gave him corny jokes in the film, which definitely took away viewers' ability to take him seriously, especially as the villain.
Ooh, my spider sense is tingling. If you know what I'm talking about.
Well, after that, we still saw him in films like Interstellar and Predators, but since then, he's completely disappeared off our screen as a lead actor, and we're not anticipating him making a comeback anytime soon. Cuba Gooding Jr. changed so much of the film industry as we know it, by playing heavy and interesting roles that brought diverse stories to our screens.
What you gonna do, Derek? Show me the money!
Congratulations, you're still my agent.
In 1991, he became famous for his leading role in Boys in the Hood. The film changed the landscape of the industry so much that it's actually in the National Film Registry, which is like huge stuff. He then went on to win an Oscar for his performance in Jerry Maguire and used that momentum in other amazing roles in As Good as It Gets, What Dreams May Come, and Men of Honor alongside Robert De Niro. But it only goes downhill from there. Fans thought Cuba Gooding Jr. would continue to bring change to the film industry with interesting and deep roles, but instead we saw him take a turn with comedies like Snow Dogs and the absolutely awful Boat Trip. Both were complete flops and did horribly among critics, especially Boat Trip, which we think is the one role that actually completely tanked his career. Snow Dogs at least saw some kind of profit, but Boat Trip? Nope. And instead of returning to the original types of roles in films that put him on the map in the first place, he only made things worse. We then saw him in Norbit, Radio, and Daddy Daycare, all of which did pretty horribly in both reviews and box office sales. Between 2008 and 2013, he was working hard, we gotta give him that. He appeared in a total of 18 movies during that time. But the worst part is that 13 out of 18 of them went straight to DVD, which pretty much indicates that almost all the roles he was signing on for were destined to flop. There's no doubt that Halle Berry is an incredible actress. She actually started her career as a model and competed in pageants, winning the Miss World title in 1986. She then transitioned into acting, and we saw her ability to play a variety of characters in films like 1992's Boomerang alongside Eddie Murphy and Bulworth, a political comedy drama in 1998. But then came the role that launched her into serious stardom. She won an Oscar for her performance in 2001's Monsters Ball, so she pretty much had her pick amongst various roles in Hollywood at that point. We saw her in multiple X-Men movies, Gothika, and Die Another Day. But what she chose to do with that momentum afterwards caused a complete career fallout. In 2004, she appeared in Catwoman, the Batman spin-off that wrecked how everyone saw her.
I knew I felt a spark between us.
She took a hit in the press, which described her as less than perfect, and the Arizona Republic even published an article saying that she brought shame and ridicule to Hollywood, and that she should consider returning her Academy Award. It has gone down in history as one of the worst movies ever made. When she accepted her Razzie Award for Worst Actress, holding her Oscar in her other hand, she definitely had a sense of humor about the whole thing. I mean, she was totally on top and then hit rock bottom. She went on to appear as Storm alongside Hugh Jackman in the next X-Men film, but we didn't see her as a leading role really and haven't seen her in one since then. Friends, what do you think about Halle Berry? Do you hope to see her return as a leading lady in films now? Definitely let us know in the comments. Neve Campbell was well known in the late 90s and did a great job keeping horror films on the map with Scream and Scream 2. We also saw her in The Craft in 1996 as well. She won Best Female Performance 2 times in a row at the MTV Movie Awards, appeared on the cover of Rolling Stones magazine, and skyrocketed to a hosting gig on SNL. So the world really expected huge things from Neve Campbell following her critical acclaim, which is difficult to get from horror films to begin with. Well, along came the role that she signed on for that totally bombed. 1998's Wild Things. And just like the title suggests, Neve Campbell was hoping to distance herself from the good girl image she had previously held in the public eye and showcase a different side of her in this film. Okay, fine, except for the film was absolutely awful. First of all, when you hear the genre erotic thriller, that's already a cringeworthy no-no, and the film just solidified that initial reaction. Her career never recovered from Wild Things, even though she had had such great press and awards before that. She tried to keep things afloat with the Scream franchise in 2000 and 2011, and clunky films like 3 to Tango, but she really couldn't return to where she once was. In 2016, however, she returned to TV for a role on House of Cards, which was actually received really well by fans and viewers. We also saw her in Skyscraper in 2018, and Clouds earlier in 2020. So who knows what's next for Neve Campbell. Kevin Costner at one point was one of the most famous actors of his time, and well known for his riveting roles in various films like Field of Dreams, Bodyguard, The Untouchables, and Bill Durham. And who can forget Dances with Wolves, which earned him multiple nominations and 2 Oscar wins. So Kevin Costner was really on a roll in the early 90s, and people everywhere fell in love with his performances and his multiple merits as actor, director, and filmmaker overall. But you already know what's coming. When he took his fame and status and used it to back the feature film Waterworld, which was a high-concept dystopian action film that was basically way too complicated and done horribly, fans had a big problem with it. Although the film had a huge budget, it barely made any money, since they assumed it would do well, but it absolutely did not. Critics couldn't believe that this was the same Kevin Costner who had won those Academy Awards and been critically acclaimed in his previous roles in films. So clearly his decision to sign on for Waterworld was an absolute disaster. So although we still see him in supporting film roles, like in Open Range or Man of Steel, we've never actually seen him bounce back from the nosedive he took with Waterworld. And we definitely haven't seen him as a leading man since, and don't predict that we will at this point. For someone who was once on top of his game and on top of Hollywood, we definitely didn't expect this outcome. Freddie Prince Jr. was a teen heartthrob, to say the least. He was an actor in high demand and seemed to have captured the hearts of teenagers everywhere through his roles in I Know What You Did Last Summer and its sequel, followed up later on by the popular film She's All That. Unfortunately, timing didn't quite work out for the actor, and people started to become less interested in teen slasher films and rom-coms by the early 2000s. So where did the actor then fit in? Well, in 2002, he appeared as the platinum blonde investigator Fred in ScoobyDoo. Sounds like it could have been a good move for someone transitioning in the film world, but unfortunately it proved disastrous for Freddie Prince Jr. Although the film did well in box office sales, it was the critical acclaim he was after, and he pretty much lost all his credibility once critics tore apart the film. And when he returned for the sequel in 2004, he had all but given up on earning back his place as a serious actor in the industry. He even admitted after those 2 films that he didn't have fun making either of them, and actually left Hollywood after that. Well, at least he quit while he was behind and looked elsewhere for work. Well, there you have it. Actors whose careers were ruined by that one role that changed everything. What do you think about these actors and their decisions, and do you know of others who did the same? Leave us a comment below. As usual, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell as we bring you more juicy info, gossip, and speculation about the shows and stars you know and love. Until next time.